Welcome back, Rankers. Well, last week Google made another change to the Panda algorithm, update 3.7 I think we're up to now. Everyone excited about that? Now remember with Panda, it was an update about quality, and one of the things that it is too that you need to be aware of is that it's a static update. That's why we have 3.7, 3.6, 3.5. Google actually implemented it over the top of everything else. It's not like something that's dynamic. It's a thing that tweaks the entire algorithm. And so if you've maybe fixed all the stuff that you thought you were getting penalised for with Panda, well, you actually won't know until the next Panda update is rolled out. So I know a lot of you have been saying, well, I fixed all those things that I thought were quality issues, but still no joy. Well, that's because you're waiting for this update. So if you have had your site hit by what you think was Panda and it's now fixed, let us know. We'd like to know what you did, because there are people like Darcy Wilson who has sent a message into askjim@stuartmedia.com.au, which you can do as well, or leave a message on the Facebook page. And his site was hit by Panda back in February. And now Darcy works just down the road, 500 metres away. I could probably wave to him from here if he was looking out his window. And a big hello to Phil Buntine, who is also, or used to work at build.com.au. Great domain name, guys. Don't know how you got it, but excellent work. So build.com.au, big site, and it's been around forever. And what Darcy's saying here is that, you know, we got hit by Panda, and we think we got hit by Penguin and the whole Google Zoo. And but he said what we do is that we publish all this content. We're publishing great content. It's all unique content. It's available in a couple of different places, but we've got our canonicalization happening, which is basically the bit of code that you need to tell Google where the original page or where the original address of a particular page is, if you have that page published more than once, so Google doesn't think you've got the same content published all over your site and you get punished for duplicate content, things like that. So Darcy said that we've fixed a lot of these things, and he said something a little bit disturbing here. For me, anyway, Darcy, you said here, we've moved our structure over from subdirectories to subdomains. Okay, for me, that's a little bit of an issue, or could be a big issue, because a subdomain is treated like a different site for Google. And, I mean, you think of all the big subdomain sites out there, the sites that have a lot of subdomains, that have, WordPress is one that comes to mind. There's a bunch of others where you will have different sites at a different subdomain. So Google has always treated subdomains differently. In fact, what we used to do back in the olden days is even 301 redirect the wwws, because Google seemed to have a problem with that. And that was an early SEO fix that we used to do, is just redirect the wwws, so it didn't look to Google like we had two sites. Nowadays, not as important. However, a couple of things that I'm looking in the index strike me as a problem for you, Darcy. First of all, I do cite build.com.au, and remember, whenever you're checking to find out what Google knows about your site, this is your first step. Your second step is to get into Google Webmaster Tools. Now, we don't have Darcy's Webmaster Tools, but we're just going to use the index to see what we can see. Okay, site build.com.au, right? And we've got 27,900 results, which is a hell of a lot of content, right? But here's something troubling. It says page 6 of about 27,900. Now, I've got my results set to 100, not the normal 10, like most of us do out there, but just so I can see things without having to go to the next page all the time. So let's say, it's actually 50 these days. I've got it set to 50. So 50 times 6, I don't know, but my maths isn't great, but I'm pretty sure it's not 27,900. When you go to the very last page of these results, this is where we're at. So basically, we've got about 300 pages that Google actually has in its index, but it's reporting it used to have 27,900. And this includes some of the subdomains I think you're talking about, Darcy. You can see down here, where are we? connectedhome.build.com.au. I saw kitchen.build.com.au. Essentially, these are all separate sites to Google. And if you've got a link structure that's linking them all together, it may also look a bit spammy to Google, like you're trying to do some sort of link circle, because we know of, in fact, I would go and check Google Webmaster Tools now and see if you've got a message in there from Google saying you've got a suspect backlinking structure. Because I spoke to one guy who basically, every time they built a new site, they would put a footer link in, the footer, and the footer would have links to all their other sites. So we see a lot of the big corporations do that. We see Telstra do that throughout all their properties. They have those links to all their other sites. And this guy was doing that, and they got penalised for it. And, you know, he basically had to send a message to Google saying, look, this is just our other companies. It's not a link strategy. Anyway. So if you're doing that, it's going to look a bit messy for Google. But the other things that come to mind when we talk about Panda is advertising and the amount of content above the fold for the users to access. And you can see here we've got a lot of menus, and this is just at, say, at one of the category sections, decking. Then we've got an advertisement there, and then if we click on that advertisement, it takes us to another internal page with just lots of more menus. I think there is an issue of getting to the content, the meaty content, straight away. You know, if I like popular topics here, I'm starting to get to the content there. But you see, we've still got advertising directly above the content. These days, I mean, I would be putting that advertising to the side. I know that isn't going to help your click-through rates, but that's one of the things that Google has highlighted with Panda, that they didn't want too much advertising above the fold or above the content, because what you're always trying to do is make it easy for the users to get to the rich content. And if your site is, see on this page here, we've got 3 ads. I don't think these ones over here are too much of an issue, but I'd probably move this one out slightly. But I think what you've got to fix up first is, and so we've got another 3 ads essentially down the bottom here, although they're not labelled as such. But I think what you should do first is get into Google Webmaster Tools and see what Google Webmaster Tools is saying, because this is a massive issue. Now, I've checked case states on some of these pages, and Google's coming to the site on a regular basis. But either what's happened here is that you've split a whole heap of your content out to all these subdomains, and Google hasn't found all those new subdomains and all the content under those subdomains, or there's just a bunch of stuff that was in the index that is now missing. Either way, it's a major issue. When you do a search like this in Google, site:/build.com.au, it will actually give me the W's and all the other subdomains, because I'm saying to Google, give me everything that you've got at this site, which includes any subdomains. If I wanted to say just exclude the W's, I would just say minus site : www, too many W's, .build.com.au, and it would tell me what the wow. Okay, without the W's, you've only got 84 results. Okay. So the W's were forming the main part of your content. But if you've just split this out to new subdomains, well, what Google's telling me here is that it only knows 84 of those pages. So make of that what you will. So you may have had a couple of issues there. Unfortunately, when you make changes like this, it's hard to know if it's chicken or egg. Was it the way the content was structured on the page? I'm guessing it was, if you haven't changed that too much. But I think now you may have an issue around your whole linking structure and the way the subdomains, because each one of these subdomains is going to have a separate Webmaster Tools account, a separate sitemap. Yeah. So if it was me, well, I'd probably be going back to the subdirectories, but, you should seek your own professional advice, Darcy, and not take my word for it. But, 84 results, which means that's all that's picked up of the new content. So if it's all at those sites. There may not be a sitemap for all those subdomains. Google may not know how to crawl that. And if we go to, hang on, we're redirecting, aren't we, by the looks of it? Wait a minute. Kitchen.build.com.au benchtops. Yes. Well, this is a curious state of affairs, Darcy. You're redirecting. I'd like to know if that's permanent or if it's temporary. Either way, it's a bit of an issue, because if it's permanent, why have it there in the first place? Unless you're talking about that in your email you've said you were subdirectories, now you've moved to subdomains. But I'm seeing here this is redirected. So if that's a 301, that's good if you've moved from subdomains and subdirectories and you misspoke. If it's a 302, it's a bad idea as well, because you've got all these temporary redirects. But if it's a 301 and your intention is to move from subdirectories to subdomains, actually, as you have actually said in your email, that's an even worse idea, because you've moved to that structure, but then you're permanently redirecting people back to the other structure. Maybe you meant the other way. If you meant the other way, that's a good thing. Anyway, let us know. Either way, I think you need more content on your pages that people can access quickly, and you need to get rid of subdomains and move to a directory structure. Hopefully that's what you're doing, but it's a bit confusing that Google thinks that recently you had nearly 28,000 pages. Hopefully that's helpful for a few more of you out there. And if you have been affected by the latest PAD 3.7 update that happened on June 8th, then please drop us a line and let us know what went on. And we'll see you next week. Thanks very much. Bye.